Sean, hi. Can everybody hear me? You all comfortable? You all seated? You ready to go? Because you guys are going to be first? Okay. Everybody, welcome. For the past 6 weeks, even 7 weeks, I have been teasing what's happening today. But I could never do it like Wayne. Wait. All right, dancing dog is prototype. This is what we mean by minimum viable product. Hey, that's not what. All right. You got it. I didn't know you had got it. Welcome. Explain them. Ah, you come right. Alexa, turn off the lights. Oh my goodness. Impresionante. Wade Rogers to thank the beautiful, beautiful trainer and Ron for listening up to the summit. We got a lot of beautiful, beautiful people in this room. Back to the program. I've been teasing this out for a long, long, long time. When we first saw each other, I knew your faces uncannily well, and we were all really confused about how I knew your faces. Little did you know that over in 4409, we were laser etching them onto acrylic, and we would all find your faces in all sorts of places. And faces are indeed a large part of what makes Interphase so unique. We got a lot of wonderful people. Special shout out to Ed Moriarty, who got into, the OME and Interphase involved with us in the first place, like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, oh, he says 5 now.
When we started, he got into trouble 5 years ago, and so we had to do this for the last 40.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it's a great honor that I have taken the role of leading this one, despite getting pneumonia for the past 2 weeks. Here we are. I returned from pneumonia, totally convalesced yesterday. Worked with all of the wonderful people for quite a while. 12-hour sessions, and it was really good stuff. But again, the people are really, really foundationally important. I want to look at more people. Oh. This is all I dreamed about when we did it. So thank you to actually, I don't know what they were doing actually. Very sharp. But more fundamentally, guys, when all of you students showed up at MIT, we had a conversation going a graph. It wasn't some 1802 stuff, it was this graph, remember that? And I told you that when you got here, it was very likely you're looking at the people who had so much more background than you as being up there and seeing yourself down here. And what I hope the past 6 weeks have brought have been the perspective that maybe what Christian said at the start of the summer wasn't so crazy. The perspective that in fact all of this is just a zoomed in version of this, because you guys have come really, really far to be where you are. Love having and love the other one, which is in reality, I don't think that this is what this looks like. I think in reality it's a flat line because we're all totally confused. We don't know what we're doing. And as Buzz Lightyear said, flying is just falling with style. But I hope that in your unique, improvisational, and soulful way this summer, you all are very proud of the life that you have brought to engineering and what's interesting to you, and that you have hopefully gotten closer to answering the question of what your superpower is. And I'm very lucky to not have flatlined these past 2 weeks with pneumonia. Regardless, I think at this point, my analogies are over. However, I want to give a special and massive thank you to our mentors who are around here, I believe. heard, but I had pneumonia. Had pneumonia. And during the time I was gone, it was totally seamless because of their incredible work with all the projects. This could not happen without them. I'd also like to thank Chris Mayer, who's heading our webcam. Something I forgot what you've got now. Two broken legs. There you go. Careful the hips next. You gotta watch out. And also for taking care of so much of this in my stead. So being back yesterday was wonderful. It was my medicine more than any amount of codeine, cough, and syrup. All of this said, my friends, we are ready to begin the presentations. And our very first presentation. Start. So those of you who are going first, Mav and Naeem, yeah, I'm gonna hit present. I'm going to give you a clicker, and the floor is yours. I haven't used Windows 98 in so long.
It's probably 1998.
Yeah. You had one. If it doesn't reload, I'm gonna move to the next group, but we'll switch. And oh, okay. Wow. Sorry, it's a me issue.
Hold on, I'm gonna zoom in on the password.
Okay.
Oh. Everyone, I want to remind you, technology gets healthy here.
I love Microsoft. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I saw a crane with that. I think we might be in a good shape. I'm going to try to present one last time. But...
Oh, 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 oh.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes, all right. All right, so we are the idiots. What was our idea? We wanted to create a piano that forces you to learn how to play.
As such, our piano gives you active feedback as you are playing.
Okay.
Oh.
Always in our inbox.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the process first, right? Right. So start with the coding bit. So to get started on the coding, we need to understand a little bit about how MIDI keyboards work to begin with. So a MIDI keyboard is essentially just like a piano, except every time you say hit a note, it sends out an electrical sort of signal that will keep track of things like, what kind of sound is being played, what notes specifically, how hard are you hitting it, etc. And the fun thing with MIDI keyboard is not only can you play a note and have it send out info, but you can also send in info. So the keyboard like this, we have something like a speaker here, so we could play anything on this.
What issues did you have with the Mac?
Yes, so using a MacBook, we have a little bit of some funky little issues. So we don't have nice beautiful folders like we do with Windows and lovely names. We have random stuff like /dev/1234887, I don't know, right? Which can cause some issues because if you use something like ChatGPT for a little bit of help on understanding where your directories are, it doesn't quite work out the same. But with using Mito, we have to use a specific Python library called Mito, M-I-T-O. And that library allows us to communicate with the keyboard and send it signals to play a certain song. We can send multiple tracks at once. So I can send them something that has a keyboard as well as audio and like vocals as well as drums. And there's something else that's very fascinating with this keyboard is that it also has built-in lights into it. So if I hit a note, it might light up red. We can work with this using our computer here and send it something to channel 0, and that will light up the keys. But what about the mechanical parts, you know?
So to begin, we decided to test if we could actually like recognize when our keys were being pressed incorrectly. So we managed to code it so that if it would light up and you would press the key that's lighting up, and that's how you would be taught how to play the piano. We wanted to see how this could be translated into the physical world, how we could see when you're pressing the wrong key. So our group mate, Savage, he managed to use this relay system, a complicated like Arduino system, to make sure that when the wrong key was pressed, a buzzer would sound, and it would make this like loud noise on the table, and you would know that you got this key wrong.
And this would work with this other keyboard that we got here, which Christian Cardozo here very graciously gave to us. We ended up using a different model, the KCO LK43, and that one has some different things like keys lighting up and speakers, as we mentioned. That keyboard specifically does not have speakers, and we would have had to drill in to add in our own lights, which would have been a very exhausting process. Moving on past mechanical parts. How do the electronics work? You know, that's gonna be an important part of this.
So we wanted to use a little more advanced buzzers. And so this advanced buzzer, rather than using digital signals, which only have high and low, we were using analog signals, which can send a certain frequency, a certain wavelength that oscillates, changing like the power of that signal as it was transmitted through the wires. And so with that, we wanted to manage to keep that signal going, but we couldn't artificially reproduce it with an Arduino. It just didn't have the capability. And so instead, I decided that we were going to have to use a relay. As you see it in the diagram to the right, usually our buzzer would connect to both sides of the human, and it would like close the circuit using that. But in the left, we want to be able to control when that signal is sent. And to be able to control that, we have to understand how the circuit works. I personally had no experience with circuitry coming into this. And so I had to use my mentors as a guide to teach me how a relay, which is basically an electromagnetic switch, could be used to control when the analog signal is sent to the buzzer and when it is like completely off.
Our next thing right here. Oh. All right. Let's switch to show. All right. Oh.
Things are getting a little wild. So as you guys may have noticed, these buzzers weren't actually buzzers, they're electrodes.
This piano shocks you if you hit the note wrong. Don't worry, it lights up the keys. You know which tears.
Who's doing it? It's Claudia. Oh, I thought I heard your voice. Oh.
She signed a waiver, right?
Should we sing a little?
The focus.
Locked in.
You want to give it up for our brave ones? Thank you to Coffee Tech for those wonderful brochures. You guys got the nice feeling ones. That is completely courtesy of them. So we really have to thank them for that. We'd also love to thank our Edgerton mentors, specifically Jose, because he was the guy sort of assigned to us. If you want to stand up, give you a round of applause. Some pictures of our mentors, very focused.
Just to show that the mentors are exactly like us.
Thank you guys.
We have time for one question, maybe for a group, if anyone wants to ask something. Rush in for that. Yeah. Questions, anything? Oh, dear. All right.
No,
You're all
please,
staff.
please.
Oh, we have someone external, I think, in the background. No, you should.
Okay, this is a question to either Matt or whoever played it. On the scale of 1 to 10, how painful was it?
Oh, we can change that.
Oh.
Oh, we can make it, probably, yeah, 1 to 10. So what Florida was on was 3? 4? No, 4? Okay, 4, yeah. So it does happen to me. It can get a lot worse, and we can make it, a nice, simple, little baby, little buzz as feedback, or we can make it like excruciating pain.
Diego, he went through.
What was that? Oh, it was dreadful. So I made it to, I thought they were like 7. They told me, no, we're at 3. I thought, I think I made it to 5 before I was begging for mercy. All right.
It wasn't.
Thank you guys, well done. All right, so I'm going to read the canvas terms of use and acknowledge the privacy policy by doing this. Is the kitty cat room ready?
Yeah.
Excellent. Come over.
Can we use the camera too?
Hi,
Because
Kitty.
we didn't have like
Absolutely.
hi. Oh, hi.
Hi, Kitty, yeah.
Awesome.
No, come on, mid key.
Yeah. Your right,
What was it?
lower right corner.
Yes? Oh, yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Guys, remember you got the mic over here too.
Oh,
The battery light is
Are you
entirely.
sure it's gonna work all the
It
time?
is because I swapped the battery.
Oh,
So we're good.
okay.
All right.
Testing.
Yay. All right, I'm gonna turn this on so you guys can, camera on it. Oh, wait.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Kit Kat. It is a robotic cat, hypoallergenic. So anyone who's a fan of cats can enjoy this cat.
Woo.
So why kitty cat? Why Kit Kat, right? So there's a really simple answer here, and it is that we love cats. It is especially evident because all three of us are in cat dorms. So we really like cats here. Okay, so run. Okay, can I? So we were kind of trying to brainstorm what to do here, right? So we had to, try to design the cat itself, the different components, how it works, like the servos, and we were originally going to also include some extra things. Oh, we ran out of time a little bit. So or prototypes. Some of you may have witnessed the horrors. However, we did have to take apart a robotic cat. I know it's so sad, but you don't have to see the guts if you don't want to see the guts. But we do have a bag of body parts. If you would like to see it, feel free to ask. We have pictures. So then we kind of had to get an idea of how to make this robotic cat work. So we were looking at different different ideas for the designs and we were analyzing how it worked. And also whenever we were taking apart the original robotic cat, we were trying to figure out how these different servos work to be able to kind of implement the same ideas in our own prototype. And then we also had some kind of observation of the way the actual cats move, so that we were actually able to try and mimic the way cats actually walk in real life.
So the next prototype that we had was the cardboard cutout. This was one of my favorites as well. This was the point at which, if I recall correctly, we started to introduce a little bit more code into it and we started to modify it. We started adding servos so that the cat could actually walk instead of just being a concept. We also, thanks to Jeanette, began our Arduino programming, and we had our basic body shapes done a la Ash. So this was the original design for the legs. This was, we labeled it front right, left, and back right. Except both of those are back left. But anyways, they did end up working when we plugged them in. This was the original design of these servo motors so that we could figure out how to actually get the cat to walk. And here we have a video, the dancing cat.
I know. I can call myself dancing dog. This is what we mean by minimum viable product.
But it walked.
Luckily, it walks somewhat.
Sometimes.
Oh, my apologies. So the second prototype, this is where the code actually got off. My apologies. We tested the wooden parts. We actually made it so that it could stand on its own. Here we cut out the wooden body part, we refined and labeled the wiring so that we wouldn't get confused, and we started moonwalking. That is very important.
Also, to simplify what we mean by that, it went backwards.
It just started going like, and it would not go forward.
It's kind of like inner Michael Jackson. That was so fun to watch.
Oh, no.
You might need to point it
Oh,
towards
no.
the Mac.
How did it go?
Oh!
We have a video.
Preventing the virus. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have a video. It might play. Hopefully.
It may,
Maybe.
but we do have like a lot of.
It seems as though it's stuck on this particular slide.
Oh. Wait, how many tabs do you have on that?
All of them.
Oh, okay.
Those are tabs.
Oh, but these are all your presentations. No, but I'm gonna close the previous one.
Ooh.
Oh.
the absence of that, would you guys like to do a demo of what's on the table?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
This is like prototype 3.
Oh, no, absolutely, please, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
It's
How
waiting
heavy
to
is
point at
this?
one of them.
Wait, how about we just put it here? We had so much stuff to say. Wait, yeah. How about I can like say my part a little bit, because later on, what we were gonna.
Exactly.
It's okay, I can speak. Alright.
Yeah, oh no, you know what it is,
Yeah.
this is a telephone, this isn't meant for, this is meant for catching
It's
people
like
who are conscious when they should. Exactly.
Yeah, this is meant for capturing scandals. Ooh.
Hey, there we go.
Yes. Okay, so literally yesterday, we just started like putzing around with it. And originally it had to be powered by a laptop, so it had to be connected. But then we added batteries and then like a switch, so you can actually just turn it on without it being connected to anything. So if we just, there it goes. So this, we made a little animation first, so it can walk, and then it'll just, stretch.
Aww.
And then it'll just, lay down, it'll give you little biscuits. Yeah, and then it'll just, here's a little surprise. Yeah, and that's just a little animation. But like, if you notice right now it's walking, it's not really walking, like it's just turning. It's trying its best. This is Kit Kat. But tell me why we had it able to twerk. And tell me why when it twerks, it walks faster than when it's actually walking. Let me pull, because I have to like load it on. So y'all will get to see a live demonstration of Kit Kat, just how they yeah. Just having a little. I'm not gonna say like that. It's fine. I'll just hold it a little bit.
As in like, I
Oh, you're right. Oh, right. Yeah, there we go. All right. So now that's loaded, again, like the code takes this function. Yeah. So yeah, I can totally function now. But like, tell me why. It's moving so fast. Look at it. It's like rolling. It's like moving. It's yeah, like so yeah, that's our baby. And like there were a few honorable mentions for like parts of the project. We tried using photoresistors, so like you could put a light in front of it and it could like go towards the light. Obviously, we never had the time to implement that. We also had ideas for like, is it like sonic rays or something? So it could sense where you are and just like start following you. But like, unless you want it following like the whole time, yeah, it couldn't really walk. We had a video of moonwalking.
wait.
Please,
Let's
please,
go
like,
on with you.
oh, okay,
Let's see
okay.
if we can get Canada to cooperate.
Hopefully.
In 1 sec.
Otherwise, that is all you guys get to see of actually moving.
Let me pull up the link again, see if we can get it.
Maybe it just makes me fun.
If you use my one. I use mine. Let's see.
Oh, I don't think you get to eat your lunch.
I think Microsoft is a way. Alright, so now we're gonna. So, Ashley's you open that up. What's favorite?
Yeah, the original name for this little guy was Kitty Cat, but I mean Kit Kat, because
Yeah.
Excellent, okay, I think we might be able to.
Yes.
Are we here, prototype?
Prototype 4.
Prototype 4.
We made a bajillion times.
Slide 8.
Yes.
Slide
Yay.
Okay.
It works.
Okay, so as you can see here, these were the original designs of the lights. They did not work out all that well. Fine. back here we have the original body as well. I think that's what that is. Either that or cut out to situate the body upon. That was pretty cool.
It has like little groups for where the servos can like sit. It has little groups where the servos can sit and.
That is cool. Yes. And then here we also have the code that we wrote, that I wrote. Thank you very much. The video.
Can I run it? Got the video. Let's go. He's moonwalking. We don't know why he's moving. So I think walking in place is a little better than trying to go off the table. So like, honestly, no idea. But it's moving.
It works best with a certain amount of friction, not too much and not too little.
But the servos are not strong enough to handle friction.
And then this is basically the run of the.
And yeah, you guys got this off of many groovy moves. Ooh. So, yep, these are like close-ups. We had, oh my God, it's a laser. No, we use this for the kitty cat. So, we drilled holes right here so that we could actually screw the dinging dong, whatever they're called, to the actual wood. And then after that, we did the wiring, right? So we added switches, we had to like solder it. Oh, what happened? No. And then the battery. Funny story though, I did short a battery and it got really hot because I may or may not have put the red and the black wires just a little too close to each other. And it got really hot.
But it's okay, nothing's set on fire.
We're all alive.
Yay!
Yeah. And then, yeah, y'all saw it. Thank you.
All right, beautiful. Group number 3 to go. I think you know who you are.
How many are there? Which one?
Why does it move so fast?
Just take the cat, turn it around, and say the backwards was forwards the whole time. You're good.
Yes. Wait, we did that though. We did switch the legs and it was moving forward, and then it just stopped moving. So now we just got.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
If you fund our project.
Yes. If we get more money, add more jobs.
There you go.
Good afternoon, humans, mutants, and extraterrestrial beings. My name is Dustin.
I'm Megan.
I'm Emma. I'm Zainab.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Maddie. And we're the Tim Vengers, and we're here to present our newest technological advancement for protecting humanity. But why did we decide on the Timfinity Gauntlet?
Alright, CBD. What we need to save humanity, we need to save humanity with technology.
Oh.
Will not be, 1 second. Let's try again.
Okay, yeah, let's try again. So why do we choose the Tinfinity Gauntlet? Well, if you look at the picture behind me, you'll see a beautiful cohort of interphasers. However, it's too dangerous to have so many brilliant minds together in one place. So we need to find a way to eradicate them. The basic overview of our product is an infinity gauntlet that requires fingerprint access, and for each different superhero, they'll play a special audio.
So let's get into the specifics. So as previously mentioned, there's a fingerprint sensor which senses the user's fingerprints, but for the safety of citizens, it only works for the Tin Vendors. And then we have the Infinity Stones, which are in the glove, but they're connected with copper wires and copper tape, which completes a series circuit. And that allows for a snap to be detected with a button, and that plays an audio. So a bit about our process. There was 3 main stages. The first one was when we were coming up with the idea. Pretty much everybody on our team is big Marvel fans. So we kind of, Maddie was the one that came up with the idea of the Infinity Gauntlet. And once we had that, we created our first prototype, Mark 1. We made it using cardboard just to make sure that our idea of having the stones like complete a series circuit would work, and it did. So then we moved on to Mark 2, our final version, and we took a glove and integrated all of our electronics into there. And here's some behind the scenes.
So what skills did we need to use for this project? So first, this is a very electronic heavy project, so we would have to use software. And this project is really heavy in C++ programming. We also had to work with Arduinos, and eventually we had to switch to an ESP32 to use Bluetooth, and also soldering with all the electronics. And other skills, time management. Okay. So what are our materials? We low-key kind of used a lot, but we have speakers, SD cards, the gauntlet that we got off of Amazon, that came in clutch, wires, Arduino, SD cards, all the lights. And then now for the fun stuff. What do we want to do in the future with this project? Well, initially we wanted it to like disrupt electronics and turn off phones once we did the snap, but that was a little hard. So we kind of pivoted to where it just like does the music thing. And then we also want each stone to light up individually once you place it in the right spot. But we couldn't do that within the time, so we had to change some things. And then for the like practical use of the glove, we wanted to learn more about using fingerprint sensors and just like using that in security mechanisms and how that would be used outside. And then also the wearable technology, we were thinking like, if you could move one finger and it would change a song, how that would be pretty cool. And we just wanted to like, examine that through this. So yeah.
Right, for the challenges that we faced, it required lots of patience just because we had to work with lots of wires. And since we kind of wanted a wearable technology, we didn't want the wires like just exposed. And particularly, I mean, I worked on this part with the wires. We had lots of problems with the wires disconnecting, with the wires just bending, and just unreliable magnets. Initially, we had magnets being like the linking source for our infinity stones, but we ended up having to replace that as well.
and it just required lots of patience. It was deeply frustrating, but we got it to work, so that's nice. Also, fingerprinting code and programming the speaker. Just because the information like online on how to do programming is just outdated for what our goal was. And just due to our inexperience with coding, we kind of had just to self-teach ourselves. And thank you, Zainab and Lauren. They kind of carried in this part with the programming. So they were able to accomplish what our goal was, which was the audio files. And so sometimes battles were lost.
Sit down for that. Let's go. Jump down. Well, let me find the wire. Okay. Okay. Why is the line? But you're not trying to cheat. Let me hold it. Okay. No, you're just sitting down. Don't worry. Be careful. Okay, this is not gonna work this time because we're recording, but I am inevitable. That's right.
That was our usual reaction, you know, the wires never really worked. But inevitably, we won the war.
That's actually the best problem we could have.
Can't really tell, but like essentially our test was that like if the little red LED light lit up, that meant that our circuit was complete and the wires did not like shift its place and the crystals worked just as we needed to, which was basically close the circuit. So what we're proud of.
So as some of my teammates have mentioned, we're very proud of how far we've come. A lot of us didn't have almost any prior experience. So it was very interesting to learn like a lot about programming, Arduinos, circuits, really everything. We're very proud of like our balance, right? We were balancing Edgerton with a lot of rigorous academics, much more rigorous than a lot of us anticipated. It required a lot of patience on our part. There was a lot of crash outs that happened, but we got through it. And we're very proud of the teamwork. I think we all came together. Our group kind of grew. We got a team member along the way, and I'm very proud of how well we worked together. And we learned a lot of things for the first time, like soldering. Now we'll have our live demo. Hopefully it works.
Absolutely. What's so how to make so big pixels so that magnifier? No, I was wondering. You did. Oh, but that's not me. Wait, that's. That is me.
That's why
I saw him. Who's that old guy? Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm gonna make a couple of tweaks. 1 second. So remove me. Oh my God! Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, how about the glove? People want to see the glove.
What?
I can do this all day.
Yeah.
You're not worthy.
The multiverse.
So we are part of the team Edgerton, well, not me, because, you know. But we would like to call up someone from the audience, you know, who is working. Anyone? Anyone? Do you guys see anyone? No? Do you see anyone working? I guess our number one fan. Can tell. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to meet your presence. Oh my God.
Oh, what's your name? Nice to meet you. We're happy to have you here. For our demonstration. Oh, do you want to? We'll hold your poster. So what we need you to do is bring your prints and press the buttons.
You're not worthy.
How do you feel?
I'm broken.
But we're happy to have you as a fan. Thank you.
We'd like to say thank you to the OME staff, Interphase staff, Edgerton Center staff, our mentors, our peers. Thank you, everybody. This is very fun to do over the summer. We also wanted to mention that usually we do have the fingerprint sensor inside the thumb of the gauntlet, so usually we would wear it, but just for presentation purposes, it tends to work better when it's outside the glove. So that's why you didn't see us put our hand in the glove right now.
Tony Stark over here, would you like to answer some questions?
We have time for one, yeah, Ed.
A question here.
Who wants to do it?
We have a question from
I
Ed.
have a question. Have you talked to Mav and their team over there about maybe using their technology when you put the wrong hand in?
All right, thank you guys. Oh.
You know, like any good Marvel movie, there's some credits.
Thank you for staying to the end credits.
Maddie, and there we go.
Damn. Well, as you can see, I don't have my soul, so that's why I lost, guys. It's because I don't have my soul in my gauntlet.
Right. I think I want to keep it posted as a reminder of existential dread.
You gotta look good in gray, Christian.
Yes, no, I think we have an answer to what we talked about in detail, which I'm getting old. The kinetic atlas is among us. They are our next group to present. No, are they ready? There you go.
Hello, I'm Mason. I'm Ethan.
Sure.
I'm Ben.
And we are excited to present our kinetic sand table. It's basically a giant etch-a-sketch that we control with a magnet that's moved around by stepper motors. Those stepper motors are controlled by an Arduino.
Checking the pictures on.
So we built a sand table, and if you can see in the audience, it's moved by a metallic ball that's controlled by a magnet on the bottom inside the table, which is moved around by stepper motors on a track in the X and Y degrees. We also plan to, in the future, include a Raspberry Pi to automate the patterns that the metal ball moves around in. And we'd also like to include real-time geographic and weather data so that we can just have more patterns and add interesting innovations to it. Yeah, this experience was new for all of us. We don't have a lot of background with engineering, so this taught us woodworking, a bit of coding on Kalia's end, some Arduino techniques, and lots of wiring, which was the main aspect I was involved in. It was a great introduction to all of these tools because it's a relatively basic introduction in all of them, but they're still really interesting and fun for us. We went into this with the main goal of just learning and getting something done. We did not expect to have a even working final product, but we managed to create that, so I think we're all really happy with that. We're focusing more on the process and not perfection. And our main goal was to stay motivated and just have fun throughout. Here we have some pictures of our past projects. My main experience was with FIRST Robotics. So I built the claw on the right, so you can see there. And the robot on the upper left was my team's robot, I think 2 years ago.
I have a lot less engineering related background, so if you see the baby birds and the baby cat, that's me. I've raised a lot of animals throughout my life, so I'm more of the if it lives person. And additionally, I'm more of that artist person, so that's just one example of that example of what I've done in the past. So not so much technical, but more so arts and raising animals up.
I was the designated table maker for the group, but you can see the pictures of basically just the car parts. I'm much more mechanically inclined than I am woodworking inclined, and from that log right there, that was my last project. I set a hand tool on fire trying to do that one. So I'm the perfect fit for building a table for this.
So I guess most of my experience is in woodworking with random furniture, but a lot of times it's the scrap materials, as you can see, basically dumpster diving for most of my materials. Reusing like lumber and just rent pieces of metal and wood from local construction companies. So I had a little bit of experience on the side, but like nothing in the coding, the electronics, any of that.
All around. Yeah, so we're gonna do a quick demonstration, but I also want to show you, it's gonna be hard to see since it's set in the table as it is now. So this is a quick video of it actually working. Hallelujah. The basic goal was to draw a basic pattern in sand. This one is a really sad looking square that I got to work. I have never coded before, never done anything with programming, never touched a line of code before in my life. 7 p.m. last night I started and I got it done. So this is a miracle, guys. Okay, so it's a miracle. And big shout out to Amit for giving me a crash course in coding. Yeah. Basically, the whole goal was make a pattern and draw it in the sand. Unfortunately, our magnets are not quite strong enough, so we have to use a very thin layer of sand, as you saw. And it's not smooth, it's not fast, but it works. And that was really the main goal all the time, was to build something that would at least function somewhat. And this gives us plenty of options in the future for continuing. It gives me options to continue with G-code. It gives me options to create more complex hats and patterns. This is only Arduino. If we actually got the Raspberry Pi in the future like we want, and hallelujah, we have a chance at getting, really intricate Zen-like patterns to show up in the table. And that's really just a nice thing. We're at a nice place, a nice stepping stone to improving in future projects. So it was a success all around in that case. Yes, I will show it. Lots of prayers, guys. It's very sad right now, but it works.
Slides back.
So we had a lot of constraints related to shipping. None of this is his fault, but much due to Christian getting pneumonia, we weren't allowed to get our wood as fast as we would like to. Ed did come in and get our wood, which saved us Because for any of this, for us to do any of the testing, we have to have a base to work on. And yeah, almost everything that we had done was done over the past 2 days. So pretty much the entire table except for one board was built in the past 2 days.
Also, a little bit of, the chinchilla dust on the last slide, that's what we're using as the sand, so it's really fine. Evidently, if we put too thick of a layer, the magnet that we have isn't strong enough to actually go through. Which is why you saw like sprinklings of dust that we tried to pull back out once we put it in. We got it like 15 minutes ago, and that was the first time we had tested it. So that's another challenge that we didn't know until just now. But here, this is one of our major challenges. The first time we put the tabletop together, it was a little like things didn't line up, lengths were wrong, and it ended up just getting kind of nailed together, and there were nails sticking out the side, as you can see up in the upper left over there. That resulted in like 3 hours of trying to figure out how to get the nails out of the wood and undo it and trim it and fix it. Except we actually had the opportunity to go to Metropolis and get new wood, but I was very much against wasting more wood. So yeah, that's what I spent all last night doing, was undoing the table and then redoing it. So we have a, at least not going to stab you tabletop right now.
These are just some pictures of the table and our conveyor system in the process. But just to talk about the construction of it for a bit, much of how this was designed was through the generous advice of Chris and Christian, which something that Christian allowed us to do is, if I can have someone to help, we are able to pick up the top of the table to show you guys the conveyor system underneath. And also, if something were to go wrong, we would have been able to pick this up and then directly mess with it. Because originally we would have had everything screwed down to where if it was wrong, it was just wrong. And we couldn't adjust anything. Yeah, but that's the conveyor system working right now.
So I mentioned already that I learned to code last night, guys. So the original plan had been a Raspberry Pi. Mason had actually already completed it pretty much. And then we realized, oh no, we left testing the code and testing whether or not it works for 2 days before the presentation. Terrible idea, do not recommend, 0 out of 10. So we had to switch up to a more basic, how the heck do we do this in Arduino, in the IDE. And that led to a 4 a.m. session with ChatGPT as I learned based off of the one mini lesson I had received the night before on how to write code, as well as some parametrics for some reason, and an entirely separate coordinate system I had drawn up based off of the rotation of the stepper motors. I got it done this morning. So overall, we learned quite a bit. From a personal standpoint, I've never touched a line of code. So that was, again, part of the main goal. We all learned something new. We learned how to completely take apart a table and rebuild it with the same materials, which is a miracle. There you go. And then we also learned how to solder. So would you like to talk about that a bit as a learning curve?
Sure. So, yeah, soldering uses some pretty hot materials, as I'm pretty sure we all know. It was my goal to make it at least a while without burning myself. I burned myself in the second attempt, so got that out of the way quickly at least. But I haven't burned myself since. And most of the solders I've made after the first few times have held pretty well. So I think I learned a lot in that regard. And it's definitely one of the things I'm proudest of, because I came into here not knowing how to solder at all, only having one experience in my past, which was getting burned while I was helping somebody else solder. So I'm happy that I was able to make that improvement.
So basically, this was some of the work for initially what the plan was. So our initial plan going in was kind of to have the sand table, as Mason had mentioned, like display designs of like actual real-time data, kind of just have a useful way to kind of interact with data just for whoever wants to buy. So I was doing a bit of work trying to get like PNGs and geotip files and FTG files to work as be translated into the bitmaps that the G-code can then use, so that we could actually translate it over. That didn't end up working out mostly because like the coding stuff didn't happen until the end, so we're hoping to do that hopefully maybe next week. Just trying to figure out issues with namespace extensions, trying to figure out how to translate it into G-code. But yeah, definitely a few different methods. And then here are some of the future developments, kind of like what I mentioned with live data, as well as just kind of figuring out how to add in the Raspberry Pi as well as LED lights. And in addition to that, either staining or painting the table, we were considering like a top paint, so like people could write on it, like fluids to go like in a makerspace or in a dorm, something like that. People could like write notes or just kind of have fun with it. We were also originally planning to weld caps for one of the legs, so eventually doing that, and then we're adding more designs to it if we don't do the top paint. So like laser cut patterns, this was just a random thing that we've done. That pattern, and we're thinking like if we did want to do more interface oriented, like have one pattern for each of the groups, kind of represent our experience here.
And that's it, folks. So thank you so much for. Enthusiastic, but no, thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience and suffering through Mini Square over here, as I suffered through Mini Square earlier today. And thank you, Christian, for helping with everything and for freaking out with me over driving parametric equations last night. Ed, for being our secondary mentor when Edwin being our secondary mentor when Carlos took a vacation, but he was still awesome. And then Ed, materials, as Ethan said, the wood was critical to building the table. What a thought. Amrit, my coding brother, my confusion brother, it works. And then everyone else was so awesome, so amazing during Edgerton. It was a wonderful experience for everyone involved. Thank you so much.
That's good. We're gonna take questions collectively at the end as well. Something I'm realizing is that I'm really bad at looking at clocks and stuff. So, guys, at every presentation, in theory, ought to be somewhere between 7 to 8 minutes. I'll make the clock simple. But we love what we're seeing. It's more like the clock down for 2 hours. Okay. Yes.
We could have questions right now while they're setting up the next one.
That's true. All right. Who's next? Next is going to be. One second. Pokemon group is next. Beautiful. And you have a question?
Yes, questions.
Couple things. One, did you ever consider just using magnetic sand and having a magnet underneath that just?
That'd be beautiful. No.
Number two, I have a 2-inch neodymium magnet ball, which would be way more power than you possibly ever want. So if you want to try and play with that a little bit, the only thing you have to promise me is you don't get any magnetic sand on it. It's kind of hard to get off. And I have other large magnets in my closet back and forth. Like if you want to.
I'll pop in sometime.
Guys, you all set?
Prepare for trouble and make that double. To protect the world from devastation. To unite all peoples within our nation. To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Omer, Alvin, meow, Carlos. It's a frisbee of Pokemon, and you might be wondering, well, what inspired our Pokemon presentation? Well, we all started.
Explain yourselves.
Okay. Oh, no.
Wait, what happened?
So first we start with blank slate. Oh,
Very blank.
So that first edition was with the MIT. Okay, so first we started at MIT, and then we were introduced to our first fall door, the next house, right? And then as I walked inside the next house for the first time, I saw the basement. There's a country kitchen. And I thought, cool, cooking parties, it's gonna be amazing. And as I walked into the next kitchen, the first thing I saw was a piece of chicken. Not just any piece of chicken, a piece of chicken that was rock hard and has been left out for weeks, probably. And it was stinky. And then as I turned disgusted to walk outside, walk out of the country kitchen, I saw the swarm of mice. So I decided at that very moment, there can only be one solution. And that one solution is to take the next house and the mice and burn it to the ground.
There's another picture of my teeth.
Let me present Project YouTube. Wait, can I present off my computer?
You're welcome to if it's a quick transition, but I would prefer, oh, my God, okay. How can you argue with that? I need your address. Hey.
Okay. Therefore.
Look for surprise.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go. Let me present to y'all Project YouTube. So, boasting a voice recognition that when you yell into a voice recognizer that's wired up and charged with your voice into Mewtwo, it'll do some funky stuff. How could we possibly make our mentors the most stressed? And of course, who's with a flamethrower? So take a little bit of lightning, okay? Butane, and a servo motor. And with the combined powers of our minds, we'll create a flamethrower. Doesn't look like it, but you'll see. And since we We aren't allowed to demonstrate it here. We have a video prepared for you guys.
Created this flamethrower. Our lawyers sadly got involved and said we need to extinguish it. So we took a little bit of water and some wiring, some electrical wires, and a pump. And we cried at how safe and functional our flamethrower system was. Those were fun. And it's shocking. You got no idea. To deliver a 1,000-degree Fahrenheit shock with their touch mutant. So we got an arc lighter, a 9-volt battery, even more critical thinking skills, and a bunch of explosions to create an arc lighter. Now, before we reach the end, does anyone think that they can take a hydro pump from our mutant? Who wants to go?
Let's hang tight. I'm gonna get the camera view so we can all see what's about to happen to the shots.
Those who get pumped.
Oh, anyone in the front is looking in the splash zone.
I'm all electronic. $7.
You want to try catch?
What a shark catch.
Just a moment. Okay, it is voice activated. It needs a very specific voice. You too. Use. No. Oh, come on. Dang. Yeah, water. If you like water. So this is the 1,000-degree Fahrenheit shock. So oh wait, the kill switch. No, the kill switch.
They just copy each other. She never likes you rubber.
All right. So now, what did we learn? Well, number one, we learned that MIT
MIT is a place with a lot of slice pickers and a lot of USB-C ports. There we go.
Okay. We learned that MIT is a place where you can receive funding for the next house implosion. And what else did we learn? We learned that these cables are called male and female jumper cables. Those who know. Whenever we took the servo, that servos don't like 9-volt batteries without a resistor. What else did we learn? Infinite power does exist. We connect two jumper cables and get infinite power. What else we learned? ChatGPT is king. King of all of our projects. And what else did we learn? JP is our demon king. Arduinos can be good boys, and they will actually function. And finally, I want a big round of applause for this one. We are unemployed! Thank you to all the mentors, thank you to the entire Edgerton staff, and thank you to all the Edgerton staff, and thank you to all the mentors and Interphase staff. And we would just like to remind you what we're really fighting for. The killing of every mouse in next house.
Thank you. You got a question for Ed while the next group sets up?
An important question. The kill switch that you're putting in there, does that turn it on or off?
So it keeps it off unless it's pressed down. So the circuit wouldn't actually be closed until you press down the kill switch.
So when you press down on it, does it kill or does it? Like, I need to know what you mean by kill.
It's like
important
the
to put
switch
in the
that
documentation.
it basically completes the circuit. It's like the opposite of a kill switch. It's a live switch. Yes. It'll kill the people who touch it. Don't get too close.
A legend.
So with that microphone, are you gonna make it recognize my speaking?
Oh. Guys, let me present to you the newest mousetrap we can put in this house.
Flash. Beautiful. All right. My face on my
We have built something revolutionary, a hands-free electric skateboard. So, as we all know, Cambridge and Boston has a very bad stealing problem, right? If you keep your bike outside for too long, it's gone. If you keep your scooter outside for too long, it's gone. It doesn't matter if you have a bike lock, scooter lock, anything, it's gone. So we made an electric skateboard that can go in your backpack. So you can take it inside. Because we all know that MIT, they don't like wheels inside. You see the signs everywhere, but you can put this in your backpack and walk around. So why did we make this? Because it's easy to transport, put in your backpack. Leverage weight sensing, so it's hands-free, so you can carry things around. You can play chess while you're on the skateboard. You can study for your next test coming up in your next class. because it uses weight. Also, it's very simple to control and it was very fun to make. So, the early stages of our project. I don't even think we need to explain that. Just that video.
Yeah, so initially I think we actually were saying up to make like a basic electric skateboard when you have a controller and you like, press the controller and go forward or whatever. But and actually ended up encouraging us to consider using load cells to do something a little bit more innovative, which is a sort of center of gravity controlled skateboard where like you move your center of gravity or move your weight and it should respond to that. So that's what we ended up exploring. It ended up being pretty challenging actually. It was a lot more soldering than we would have expected. Also a lot of programming, which I just could have done, but didn't. That's okay though. But yeah, so I think all of us like learned a lot about like electrical engineering, especially soldering the circuitry, because we bought this board initially. I think on the next slide is an image of like the interior of the board very early on. Not again, not again. Yeah, it's like some of the interior stuff. So when we got the board, we had like the battery, which is still there. We kept using that. But also, you have like a really messed up like a board controller.
Yeah, this video is just like us first hooking it up. So the wheel is moving. This is just like we're just getting the wheel to move from our code. The right picture is just like it was a picture of our interior circuit.
Yeah,
so
it's
just like
not
all the
there.
wires and stuff.
But if the picture was there, you'd see like the board inside, and there was like a battery and like a board that was encased in resin. So we couldn't use that board, obviously. We also wanted to change how the board works. So we basically scrapped the entire interior of the board and started from scratch. And that was an experience in it of itself because we had to order a new motor driver, learn how to use the motor drivers, learn how to use load cells. Daniel did like an atrocious amount of soldering. I wasn't gonna mention that, but since you responded, we had to order a motor driver 3 different times, I think. The first one didn't work, it was the wrong one. The second one was like that, except for after some soldering by someone. It ended up getting shorted, but we learned our lesson. Like, it's actually pretty hard to solder these things.
I did it on purpose, so you know.
But no, I think we came out better for it. We learned how to solder properly. We got help from Metropolis in the last couple of days of the program, and eventually got the one that's currently in this board now, which you have to see like it does work. And so yeah, so we can play one of these videos. Actually, the board working.
3, 2, 1.
Press down as hard as you can. All right, guys, see the wheels spinning. This video here's more camera next video. That's kind of sick.
Musical, bro.
Let's see this one. Yeah. Might notice there's no braking feature. Well, so. Braking is hard. It'll stop in like half a second. Oh, yeah. So before we talk about the feature, we're going to look at a live demonstration. Yeah.
There's no brakes on purpose, so he signed the waiver. So as you know, we didn't really have that much time, but in the future, what we wanted to do is we wanted it to be fingerprint access. So in order for it to like actually activate, you need the right fingerprint. It was also going to be Bluetooth connected. So at first we had a remote and we were going to like make it Bluetooth connected, and on the back it was kind of a fingerprint access thing. But this is actually a lot cooler. Thank you for giving us that idea. This was so much cooler. And we don't like brakes, so like we're not gonna put brakes in. So actually take that part out. Mobile companion app, we wanna make an app to be your companion with the skateboard. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. And then LED status indicators, we just wanna put lights on it. Just cause like everything with lights looks cooler, so we just wanted to like throw some lights on there. No particular order, just throw them on there. But oh yeah, and then we just want to thank our Umrit. Yeah, get up, hit your dance, man, hit your dance.
Also, thank you, like the Christian and all the other action staff for like either helping us with getting the materials. Obviously, like a lot of stuff was dependent on getting the motor driver in, and you guys were like very helpful in getting everything in promptly. And also, like Ed, of course, for giving us insightful feedback and new ideas and expanding our horizons. So yeah, thank everyone for helping with this.
All right. I'm actually gonna have, I think, Gert's group. Yeah. Oh yeah, just being held hostage here.
Aggression. You said? I'm Nick. I'm Wade. I'm Ethan.
I'm Melanie.
So way back when in week 1 of Interphase, which is crazy to say now that we're all the way here, a group of us watched Interstellar, and it was my first time watching, and I was pretty blown away by it. Especially this one robot in the movie, his name is Tars, and yeah, we were pretty inspired by that, so we wanted to recreate our own version of that here at Interphase.
Yeah, so those are the early stages. So I'll preface this by saying, before coming here to Edgerton MIT, I had really no experience with building anything. And so after watching Interstellar, I was like, wow, I want to be an engineer, I want to build something, but I had no idea how. I'll be low-key, I did not think we were gonna be able to build this until Mario, our mentor, showed me the power of a servo. Right? He showed me how, he showed me how much a servo can actually, how versatile it is. And so in the early stages, you saw us using like cardboard cutout, and
Yeah, so one of the biggest parts of our project, or one of the main elements was the fabrication of it. So it involved a lot of laser cutting, and I was using that machine frequently. It was really convenient actually to make like minor adjustments to our frame, cut out holes, whatever we needed it for. And so yes, we used a little bit of CAD and Onshape just to do simple outlines and make the sketches for the laser cut machine.
machine. And then we use a metallic spray paint to get that cool finish as well. Yeah. So the other part of the fabrication was like the actual building part of it. And that's what Ethan and I work on a lot. And so some of that included like, so you know, just like these like wooden boards, right? But as you'll see later, it has to move forward, and to stop the boards from like just falling apart, we had some support blocks. That was like a large part of what we built. And a lot of it was like on our own time, that we kind of started doing things. Whatever ideas we had, we just went with it and made it work with our project. So we took like Ethan found like a small piece of wood on the ground, like, okay, let's use it. So then we used it, and now we have multiple parts throughout the bob. Other parts of like the fabrication were like the actually screw throws, and we had to use like a lot of drilling. Again, I've never really used like these tools before, so that was like a big learning curve. I would be like using it the wrong way, and then unscrew it in, and like Mario being like a dumb person. So yeah.
Yeah, so like Yusuf said, we both built the robot together, but then we also worked on the movement. So after the body, so initially our body was made out of cardboard, so it was very flimsy, but then Nick proposed that we use wood and then we paint it looking metallic. So he printed out a bunch of wood pieces and we glued it together. That way it would be more intact when it walked, because the force of the robot when it hits the ground is pretty strong. So we have wood to make sure it doesn't fall apart. So me and Yusuf, we spent over what 10 hours. Yeah, just getting the movement down. So we would run code and we would see if it would work. Yusuf held the robot up for like 2 hours straight, and the robot's like, it's pretty heavy. So we tested out the movement over and over again, and we finally got it down. We have it. We have weights down at the bottom front that help the movement of the robot forward, and then we use one leg that sticks out to move it to left or to the right. So initially it was really just shimmy, but after a little bit it actually walked. So.
Clearly, fabrication was a huge part of the process, actually, deciding what materials we were going to use, going from plastic to wood, and then actually putting everything together, and then doing that in a way that it could actually walk. So that was a lot of managing weight distribution and everything. But then another major aspect of the project was handling the electronics, because Gert is a robot. So there was a lot of coding and wiring going on behind the scenes that took taught us a lot, but it also took a lot of time.
What is your name?
I'm known as an AI assistant designed to help you with information and answer your questions. Feel free to ask anything you need help with.
So we used ChatGPT's 4.0 real-time API to handle the interactions with Gert. So our plans initially were to use like several different APIs, which are like APIs are like ways that you can call on like different services like that other companies have developed. So we used the ChatGPT or OpenAI API in order to like call on ChatGPT and make requests. So initially we were planning for our interactions with Gert to start with taking input from the microphone, using the API to turn that into text, sending that text to OpenAI, where it can process that, give us a response, send it back to Gert, and then have him speak it through a text-to-speech service. But we found this OpenAI real-time API, which handles all of that in like one go. So it's speech-to-speech, you talk to it, and it talks back. So I swiped the MIT, the Edgerton credit card from Christian, and I put $50 on the on our API balance. So the significance of this is it took 3 cents from our balance, which meant that the API, our first call, like went through successfully and then charged MIT. So that was pretty exciting. And then as you had heard here, this was this morning, the next signing we got it to successfully speak back to us when we switched.
To elaborate more on electronics, just like for a raise of hands, how many people know what a Raspberry Pi is? And how many people know the difference between a Raspberry Pi and a Arduino? Okay, so less hands in that one. So the difference between a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino is like, it's like if you were comparing a potato with a rocket.
Wow.
So basically, in Arduino, right, it just has a microcontroller and you can run a lot of basic programs with it and you can make a lot of cool projects with it. But you can't like, have like any computer systems, like, I don't know, like if you wanted to like, I don't know, make like a mini PC or something, you would want to use a Raspberry Pi for that because you would need more space. And it's something that like Arduino doesn't have, the capacity to do. So that's why we wanted to use the Raspberry Pi to like have your like have like all the terminals speaking back to us like with we set up the ChatGPT system. And also we wanted to like, maybe like, I don't know, put some funny stuff in there as well. It did come with a lot of challenges though, especially with that screen you see right there. That screen is evil. It's from like a third party like electronic like store and like it's not even like really configured, like I guess like it's not really associated with anything that Raspberry Pi makes. So it was really hard to find any good documentation that would not like, tear apart all my other files that I had before. So it took weeks for us to like, just get basic code running on it, and get it working with both the monitor that I was using and have it display now independently. And we actually had this like successfully done yesterday because before it was just like, I don't know, how many people have heard of Debian? Okay, so Debian is a very bad version, like it's a very bad software. I don't really like how it looks in the Raspberry Pi. I mean, here you can't really see it, but it's basically like, it was like, I don't know, because of like the GitHub file that we have to use to make this screen work. It's really zoomed in and like, it's horrible. It's like kind of like, I don't know, if you've seen your grandmother's phones, like, it's like that type of font. It's like that horrible. And like when I was programming on it, like, Ray was also helping me. We were just like, this is a horrible girl OS. And we had to like kind of work with that. And I guess like later we're going to talk about challenges. But like with that, we just like started running like the ChatGPT like in the terminal, and I don't know if we have any videos of that. Yeah.
What we have back here, we have photos in the terminal. So this is where it would start printing. It would start in the terminal. It would print like the request information that was being sent to ChatGPT through the API. So if you can see it in that like sea of text. There's like 4096. That was like the token limit that we had set on the request so that it wouldn't charge like $1 million each time we sent a request. And you can even like harder to see is it says it's saying some of the stuff is going fast, it's saying some of the stuff. So it was like picking up our voice and printing it to the terminal, which is part of what the API does. It has output, it has text and audio output, but it was really sensitive at first. So Melanie tweaked the microphone so that it wouldn't pick up like a pen dropping. But at first it would just take anything we're saying. So that's what it was printing out there. That's what that mess was. And then these are our final electronics. These are Gert's innards as of this morning.
Yeah, so me and Yusuf, Yusuf, right, I'll pass it to you. So Yusuf worked on the wiring, and then I organized it afterwards. We initially had a bunch of chunky stuff down at the bottom, but we put it all together as the ties and the battery, and then I taped all the wiring up top. That way we'd have space for the Raspberry Pi. That way it would run smoother, and if there wouldn't be any complications with the wiring short circuiting or coming out of the Arduino.
Yeah, again, I don't have all experience in it. It was really fun to learn how to use circuits. I went to the solder a lot. Like even this morning, we're gonna show you the inside later, but it's it's very compact, and so actually things can break pretty easily. And this morning, one of our connections to the switch broke, so I had to solder it in the morning. that's kind of about it. I also like learned like the power of like male to female heads and whatnot. Like we want to connect the Raspberry Pi to the microphone, there's no space, so we can connect male to female heads to give it more like a twisting motion, so we can like position it how we want. Oh, there was a lot of challenges, especially with the freaking Debian. I actually hate it so much. I don't know much about Raspberry Pi, but I was working with it all of last night and this morning. And like, unfortunately, this morning it was working.
Yeah, I think the demo is gonna show all of the, yeah. I'll put you guys on the screen. That demo is gonna stop.
Yeah, right now, the terminal won't be running the screen, but that's because, like, we have some complications with the connection, so. We do have some videos, and if you're curious to see, like, what the terminal does, you could come up to me and I could show you some videos.
Yeah, so we have it moving forward, and then after 3 steps, we have it turning leftwards or rightwards. So eventually, it'll go forward, it'll turn, and we were going to have the Raspberry speak to you after you spoke to it, but we had problems.
Yeah, so actually we like figured out yesterday, that the microphone, the jack was a little bit too big, so, we were not able to like, fully like put it in the thing so it could like speak to you, but basically, the function of like what we had originally was that, you could speak into the mic, it would reply back to you, and then you would hear its like output in the microphone. So if you want to see like, I don't know, a video of that happening, you just ask me, or I think Wade also has some videos, so.
That's it.
Work is beautiful.
Yogurt.
Everyone, I'm doing my best not to get decapitated by you on me. Here's the next one. With the chest. You have a chest. Wait, I think you got my clicker. Oh, never mind.
Alright, so over the past 8 weeks, we've been working on chessboard. So after the past 6 or 7 weeks, we've been here at Interphase and in Edgerton, we've been working on the chessboard. I'm Joel.
And Vincent.
I'm Tejas. We did chess.
So some famous chess player decided that when you see a good move, you should look for a better one.
So our project is based on an online game called Kung Fu Chess, which is basically chess without turns. So how this works is that you basically use as many pieces as possible, as much as you want, and hope you capture one escape before they capture. So the way this is absolutely a minor level of chaos is that every time you move a piece, the pieces go into place for 5 seconds. So implementing this, you know, like it, right?
It's really not that complicated. Or, yeah, it's a very simple, effective, efficient idea.
You know what can be done in a week?
Exactly.
Exactly. We're gonna run snow made road.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, it didn't exactly pan out that way. We had a lot of challenges that we went through to even construct the board itself, let alone the electronics and all of it.
So our first takeaway is that when we're working on the scale of a chessboard, 64 squares is too damn many.
What fool came up with chess having 64 squares? I want to know. I want to give this guy. Okay.
Oh, no. Showing.
Falling. Okay, this is live footage of us a few times. That's pretty much exactly what happened. So, our first.
Okay, so option 1 for implementing this project is the expensive option. Needless to say, this didn't last very long.
Okay, so our original intention with the project was to use electromagnets to basically secure the pieces in place and basically dictate when a player could move each piece. So using the electromagnets would essentially actuate each square and only allow certain pieces to move. That turned out to be, we have a demonstration of how electromagnets work right there. That's not real footage from us. But essentially, we decided not to go down this route because of expense. It was extremely expensive. We didn't have the. We weren't able to
Decidedly enough.
So are cheaper, but somewhat less reliable iteration. So
is to use the power of light itself. See, some people call them photoresistors.
Instead of the electromagnets, we decided to go with photoresistors, which wouldn't be able to basically control when a player could move a piece, but we'd at least know when a piece is on a certain square. And we were able to use photoresistors by essentially the photoresistors. So basically, the photoresistor's resistance changes based on the ambient light that it's receiving. So once a space on the chessboard is blocked or a piece is on it, the resistance can increase or decrease. And based on that feedback and reading the analog pin on the Arduino, we're able to know if a piece is present on that square.
So. Okay, so now that we have photos, all we've got to do is build the entire board and, you know, do all the wiring and implement this idea that we have. Simple. So our first idea is to just let the 3D printer do all of our work. It's always wonderful when you have something else do work for you, right? There's going to be absolutely no problems with this whatsoever. 3D printers are wonderful things, right? It's amazing. You just like, you know, Joel does all the CAD things because I just spoke to him about a CAD. And then, you know, you just upload it to the printer. Yeah, it sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful. You know, so let's look at one of our friends. Look at one of our friends. Joel, do you wanna?
So this was one of our first iterations of the board where we completely 3D printed it. This is only like 1/4 of the board. And you can, as you can imagine, it took quite long. So we decided to quickly pivot away from this idea. 18 hours. Yeah, we weren't getting out of bed to go to Edgerton to pick our prints. So yeah, it wasn't workable.
So for all the reasons that you just saw, that's also a no.
Okay. Option number 3 for building this board. We're going to use lasers. That is the proper way to make a set board. Well, not exactly that, but it's close enough. It's close enough. More. Speaking of those.
So our main iteration time was spent like going through different square designs. So we wanted to have a square that would encompass the photoresistor, while also letting light shine through, because our plan was to have LED strips go under the board and shine when a piece was on each square. As we went through like several iterations.
Yeah, several. Many.
Consideration did have a square or but we were working with different dimensions. We were quite a bit.
After assembly, last minute LED runs, coating, unsuccessful soldering hole on a Mary Jane hot glue, the use of several X-Acto knives, an off-center logo attempt, a correct logo attempt, 5 different iterations of various grade orders, a flood resistor installation, last minute LED installation, typical dinners, which seems to be the entire soundtrack, camel symbol, board assembly, along with many more such struggles. We have a board.
Is that what exactly we envisioned? No, but.
No.
And we do plan on improving it later this week if we find the time to, so it doesn't end with this presentation. And we all learned and have a good time. I'd like to say thank you to the Edgerton staff and Christian for providing this opportunity. For our primary mentor, Jose, who was really good with the EE knowledge. Even after working on his master's thesis, he made himself really available to us, so we appreciate that. And also thank you to Kira and Bear for monitoring our laser cuts when we weren't able to.
Even though they make a fully functional chessboard, yet they probably make the most most beautiful ornamental thing you could hope for. I would. I'd love it if you could turn it around so people could see also.
Yeah.
The front face. I can do the camera, but just like if they saw it face on. Just imagine a bunch of LEDs behind it.
Make a 3D.
There you go. All right. All right. Brace yourselves. Something wicked this way comes.
My name's Diego. I'm Jose. And this thing blows. Really sucks. With over 1,000 holes, all hand drilled by the way, and over 5 iterations, we present U0.
Thank you. I hope you guys are ready to see the starting journey of the best hockey table you guys will ever see.
My name's Diego.
So what was our idea? Pretty evident we wanted to make hockey, air hockey table, right? But we didn't want to just have no ambition. We wanted to have ambition. And I mean, we were already making a board, and our mentor Mario made a foosball table last year. So we were kind of starting this new generation of tables. And so with this ambition, what did we want to go to? We wanted to make a V or U-shaped table. So you're standing right next to your opponent and it bounces off the wall. Now, we didn't know that these had already existed, and it didn't matter if we already knew these existed because we tried looking up the blueprints or the patents and everything. We could not find a single thing. Like, it was so very vague. And then we thought about it more, we looked up more, and we realized it wasn't just this shape board. It was any air hockey board in general. Like, you found the general stats, but you find nothing in particular, nothing that was inside the table, unless you bought the table yourself, and you don't really have that kind of money.
All right, we'll see what's not showing, but basically, we decided to start prototyping. So we went to Onshape, which is CAD software, and we wanted to test our theories of hole sizes, hole distances, because again, for some reason, the FBI is like concealing all information around air hockey tables. So we are gonna 3D print this, and we have a channel design, and we also have a lot of different holes. This was really, it's probably not, okay. Well, there was a GIF there of the prototype actually working, and there was a fan pointing up, and the air hockey puck was actually like floating really well. And in that video, Ed actually gave his phone number in the background, so that's why I turned into a GIF. So yeah, and then those were the dimensions that we settled with. So this prototype was very, very valuable on actually getting real numbers. But that's okay. So we were like, okay, let's CAD up a mock of what we want to do, a V-shaped air hockey table. We made a sandwich. It was very similar to the prototype. We had the channels, we had all the holes. Only issue, there were over 2,000 holes, and we wanted it to be precise. The shape was odd. We could have just bought sheets, and we were like, oh, we're at MIT. We were very naive, by the way. We're at MIT. There must be a bunch of large format CNC routers around. So we went to the maker spaces, and we saw there were 3 available. But unfortunately, all of them were broken. All the CNC routers on campus that were 4 foot by 8 foot that were available to students, all 3 of them were broken. So we were like, okay, well that's unfortunate. So yeah.
Turns out we had many. Now, sure, we have a board issue, but we have different parallel fields of work that we can go through. So like, if the board's not working, we could work on something else in the meanwhile. So we had this OEM blower. What is an air hockey table without air actually blowing? This would provide the air. And so we thought we were getting the luxury experience. This was a lot of money, and we thought we would just get it, it would plug in, and it would provide so much air. But then, it was 115 volts, 0.75 amps, and this was an AC, so, we didn't really worry about that part because we thought it would have the connections. We didn't think we would have to do much more. But then we opened the box, we're getting ready to see this amazing thing, and said, okay, on that view. Well, why is it only giving us these 2 connections? I mean, what are we supposed to do with that? Personally, I would have just put them into a wall outlet, but a lot of the Edgerton mentors said, And specifically, the reason that Diego and I still have a pulse is because our neighborhood friendly EE said that was a very horrible idea. And so he would not let us continue until we had some proper steps. And we didn't really know what to do yet, so we were kind of at a standstill there as well.
And lastly, all the groups are very familiar with this, but funding, we did not have funding. Well, we had funding, but unfortunately, a lot of the parts that we spec'd out were really expensive, and we had a lot of parts. So understandably, Ed especially came over like, why are you buying like so much wood? And first of all, why are you buying poisonous wood? That's a different story. Why are you buying so much wood? And we spec'd out like the highest quality wood because we're like, oh, we're going, all in on this. But yeah, it was getting pretty expensive. So we had to shift a lot of our project to a new phase.
All right, everything's gone to total garbage. Well, what do we do? We're at step 0. We don't have the table. We don't have the blower. What are we to do? So the first thing that happened is, we spent that much money on the blower already. We might as well use it, right? So, mentor Chris and I, we decided to, wire it ourselves. So we soldered. It involved soldering. It involved heat shrinking. It involved crimping, right? But none of this would have been possible without our amazing friends at EES, who gave us the knowledge we needed for one, which was by far the most important part. And they also gave us an e-stop, which is right here. Very nice big button that you use just in case anything horrible happened. And they also gave us a 3-prong wire 3-month cable. And yeah, basically we had everything that we needed to make sure we didn't die. Yeah.
So as for the actual physical design, we kind of shifted. There's an exploded view and here's an actual view. Oh, I guess not. But basically what was there is this. We actually originally were just gonna kind of wing it. We're gonna start putting wood together. But then the voice of logic and reason and came over and was like, you guys actually like figure out what you're doing before you do it. So I guess we did do that. And we were just making sure that everything would coincide, everything would fit. We were running out of wood, time and money. So yeah, we made sure we went back to the drawing board really. And we decided, let's make a prototype at least. If we can't make the V-shape that high the table, let's get a small prototype so that we can continue this endeavor in the future. So yeah, we got this all figured out. All right, so my part is the final product. This you guys are seeing it right here, but we have a picture of it anyways. We actually just printed the goals and then he was about to talk about the new system that we added. But
So attaching the electronics to the actual board was much more of a pain than I thought it would be, because you know you're attaching these cables to this giant moving thing. So if anything moves abruptly, then it's a nightmare. And that did happen multiple times. And while they were working on the board, one of the crimps fell apart, and then I realized it crimped that amazingly. So that gave me the opportunity to go back to all of my crimps, make sure everything worked perfectly before I tried to, you know, plug this in and someone ended up losing something, right? And then I've known how to use Arduinos for quite a while now. It's been since August 3rd of 2025. So that's quite a long time. I had quite a good amount of experience. And so with that experience, I decided to make a scoreboard. Because originally we were going to use a scoreboard that came with this little mini tiny air hockey table that we had, but a really, really bad soldering job by me ended up completely messing the whole thing up. So we made this scoreboard, and how it works is that it has an IR receiver and an IR transmitter on either side. So they're constantly sending, it's constantly sending IR. When something breaks that beam, in which our case is the air hockey puck, then it sends the signal to the scoreboard saying that that's a goal, because once the puck has reached that point, it's a goal. And yeah, that was very much a pain to wire, and you can kind of see a little bit of mess, but you really don't want to see under the table. It's somewhat people managed though, so nothing dangerous will happen.
and Jose deserves a lot more credit because in that slide there was a picture of like the table on another table, and it was flipped over, and Jose was standing on that table. It was great. But there were so many wires down there, and we kind of did that last minute, so it was a great addition. But yeah. Yeah, we can plug it in actually.
Happy with that power strip closer to you.
Does anyone want to play against us? Oh, Daniel, okay, wow, immediately.
Getting his revenge.
Wow.
It's also quiet, which is another thing we didn't intend for, but it's a good thing because normally when you're using an air hockey table, it's much louder. Yeah. Right.
Oh, wait. Y'all saw that live. What, 101, 101? All right, that's 3. This is 120. Oh, wait, Daniel won, okay. And then you stop works. Awesome. But yeah, we just want to give a couple things. Starting out with some mentors, we have our amazing mentors.
Chris Martinez. Chris and I worked mainly on the electronics. We were taking over the electronics. We had a lot of headaches, and he helped me keep my sanity throughout the whole process. I did lose a bit of sanity, but for the most part, yeah.
And then our other mentor, we had two mentors actually. Mario, him and I were working for a lot of hours. We built 3,000 poles. That was really great. But we worked on a lot of the hardware, so we actually got this physically up. So a lot of support from those two. They were amazing. All of their staff, of course, everyone was extremely helpful. Oh, and Pip, we could have added more to this list, but we were running out of space. But Pip, thank you so much for helping us today as well. We value all of our mentors so much. Yeah.
And then we had some help from our peers. There's 3 people up there. They helped us mainly with like the physical aspects, giving us hands when we didn't have hands, because this is a 2-person group. We didn't really have hands.
Then of course we got our Edgerton staff. I noticed we have 3 Chris's. It's kind of funny. But especially Ed for being our voice of reasoning. There was a lot of times, a lot of pushback, but Ed really helped us grow. More ways than one.
And to the EDS staff, Dave and Anthony, who taught us, well, pretty much everything I know about electronics, like in terms of safety and otherwise. They definitely were a huge part in giving us what we needed, because we wouldn't have known where to start otherwise, especially with the safety concern and issue that we came out of nowhere.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Next, we have Chelsea.
So originally, we wanted to make an ultrasound gun. It takes a regular audio signal, it modulates that to ultrasound, and sends it out in focused beam to project the sound elsewhere. What we ended up with was not that, because it takes a lot of power to run a like, ultrasound array like that. So, why we chose it? As you can see, it was cool. If you have an imagination, you can think of all the cool things you could do, the ability to project your voice at the distance. So, we're on a time limit though, because, yeah.
All right, so for how it works on a more abstract level, so we have a power supply that's being drawn, that's drawing power from like an external device such as a laptop, and it's powering the 555 timer, which is creating a 40 kilohertz square wave, and we want a 40 kilohertz square wave because since it's such high frequency, you won't be hearing it with the human ear. And then we also have a Bluetooth module that's connected to like your phone, and that's where you're gonna be playing your audio from. So whatever audio choice you want, that's gonna be hooked up to the Bluetooth module, and that's gonna be sending the audio signal to the MOSFET. And what the MOSFET's function is it takes in the square wave and the audio signal, and it encodes the both signals together. So when it's being sent to the amplifier, which amplifies it, and when it gets emitted through the ultrasound array, it sends out an encoded signal. So you won't be able to hear it until it hits the surface. So if you're in the direct beam of the ultrasound array, you will be able to hear it. But if you're out of the direct beam of the ultrasound array, you won't be able to hear it. And then for a MOSFET, the way it works is that it's kind of like a transistor for audio since it takes in voltage. So there's think of it as like a water valve where there's a collector, base, and an emitter. The collector is where like the source of water is coming from. The emitter is emitting emitting the water, and the base is the water valve itself, which controls the flow of water. So the MOSFET, like as mentioned earlier, it takes the 4 kilohertz square wave from the base and the audio signal from the collector, and encodes them to and sends it out the emitter.
So next is basically the journey of this entire thing. So first of all, we started off with the 555 timer. So what the 555 timer is basically, it has basically these 8 nodes, which each of them corresponds to a specific thing. So for one, you can see it's ground and so on and so forth. So what we did with this is because we followed this circuit. So we saw that there was already an ultrasound, basically like gun format that was online. So we followed that circuit to reproduce the entire like ultrasound system. So right there is basically your 555 timer in the rectangle. So each of them basically corresponds to what wires interconnect, whether it's in series or in parallel. And basically, in order to do that, we connected with basic capacitors and resistors. And these are just some other pictures of just the entire process of what we went through. Those are the brainstorming part, and that one's themselves are working on all the electronic stuff. So during this process, basically we learn a lot of skills. So, so issues we ran into. So overall, like there were a lot of up and downs during this process because originally we wanted to create an ultrasound gun, unfortunately it didn't happen. So things that went really like, I guess like some obstacles that we faced were circuiting. Because like the entire system is very like intricate, a lot of circuits were like not working, so we had a really hard time to really get everything to function correctly.
Yeah, so a lot of the issues that we faced was that trying to get 40 kilohertz of square wave in the first place, since we weren't really able to. Yes. Yeah, so since we weren't really able to get a 40 kilohertz square wave, we had to adapt and change it to a 30 kilohertz square wave instead. And also additional issues was that like every time we would take it out after a section, we would have to like rewire everything since like our wires are pretty loose. And initially we had a different amplifier, but we had to change to this bulky amplifier to get it working.
1,000 watts. So, you have the camera or how it's. Yeah, I have it working here. So throughout all the troubles we had during this project, I began knocking on doors, just learning, finding experts. So David Rohn over there, he helped me figure out the load that the ultrasound array works at, and you can tell. He also showed me that you can use this as a microphone. So we hook it up to an oscilloscope and we put it in the beam. You can see here that the yellow signal, which is the recorded part, it picks up sound from that. So the audio is directional, so we got what we set out to do. Yeah, I've walked everywhere, knocking on doors, asking questions, so it's been pretty cool. Oh, and last minute, originally when I wired it up, I had it to where it was on just the positive channel, modulating that signal. But then last Saturday, whenever I was tinkering with it again, I managed to wire the negative channel to also modulate that signal, which gives us a positive part of this blue wave here and the negative part, which made it louder and more clear whenever I hooked it up. And as you can see, when it's in the beam, yellow's on. When it's not in the beam, nothing. Any questions?
Every semester when we do something like this, there is a group that tries to do directional ultrasound. I think this is the most thorough and closest treatment we have of it. So I want to give particular congratulations to you guys.
I heard that this was a dream cause and went at it anyways. This was due to start with as many troubles as I had when I was messing with it. Because I wired up the 40 kilohertz, the 555 the first day, worked perfect. After that, signal modulation, not too fun because funny thing is my original design for how to modulate the signal was really close to the final result. It was just one thing we built, but we're here now and it works.
For sonic contamination.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, guys. All right, next we will have the 1-point laser projector group. Those with the scary scooter. Now, I'm gonna grab these slides. Because I actually can't access those. Guys, can you send me slides for this? I'll
Okay, so have you guys ever went to a party and it was really boring? You you pull out your phone, go in the corner and pull out the weather app. Well, we got something else you can pull out. And it's our new light show. And it doesn't look like a drone, but we'll get into that later. So we had a lot of ideas for this. We wanted to do like holograms, fog machines, spotlights, and as we were working, we just like kind of lost track of time. And 3 days before the deadline, we realized we didn't have a drone. So we had to improvise, and so we put on a scooter. And so now it's Light Show Scooter.
In order to create a light show, we have to understand how light works. So light can be reflected, and light moves very fast. So why is this useful? So because light is so fast, that let's say you have a laser point, and you shake it really fast. Instead of just seeing a dot, you'll see like a line, a shape. So we use that concept, and we made a sort of rotating mirror, and basically an artificial distance. Now Alex will explain the materials.
There's three main components. There's the laser module, the motor module, and then the scooter. In the laser module, there's 7 lasers connected to an Arduino Nano, and then we have the motor module in the middle with a motor driver and a Nano as well. And at the end, we have Denny's scooter. So the process. So we started by building a hexagonal mirror prism. So we laser engraved and laser cut acrylic pieces and made them into a hexagonal shape. It was in there. Then we coded the motor and connected the motor driver to the motor and programmed it with an Arduino Nano. Then we soldered the Arduino Nano and the lasers and a switch so you can turn it on and off. Then we built the compartment and put it on the scooter.
I mean, let's try to post a video. Otherwise, we have more pictures of it. Cool. Here's like a description of the hexagon mirror spin. Alright, so like going into that more in depth, here's kind of everything put together, and somehow that happened. On a serious note.
So there's Arduino, and then I was going before, it's connected to a 9-volt battery, the motor driver. The motor is the hexagonal mirrors, the wooden compartment, and the motor switch. What's not included in there is the lasers. The lasers we're using aren't exactly safe for the human eyes, so we're not gonna use them in the room for safety reasons, but there's 7 lasers.
Yeah, and going more into this hexagon shape that we built, it was very much inspired by a disco ball and also some ideas that Christian gave us. It originally began as much shorter because we wanted to be more compact to actually fit on the drone that we wanted to have. But since, you know, as our ideas changed and we changed what was going to be mounted on it, we decided to use taller mirrors, and that way we could align the LEDs in vertically, and therefore there's more reflection and there will be more projection onto the surfaces. And so here's some images of just us putting it all together.
So basically, we laser cut a box, and in the front, we laser cut like this sort of pattern, so the lights that came out would be actually kind of, it look a lot cooler. That's me holding it together.
And we just wanted to have it spinning. And so here's some code we made for the spinning mirror. Originally, since we wanted it on a drone, we wanted to create some cool oscillation patterns. And so this drone kind of this code reflects that. We have like some variables to describe the inputs that we put on the Arduino. And then it just goes through a loop. It goes through 2 for loops that gradually increase the speed and then decrease the speed. And that way, like you can imagine, if it was like at a party on a drone, you have like lights just spinning really fast and then they kind of slow down and then go back again. But we still decided to incorporate it since we 3D printed a piece to mount the motor onto the box, which we'll show later. It actually came very beneficial to us because since it's made of plastic and the motor kind of heats up over time, we actually don't want the motor to just be continuously spinning really fast. With the oscillation cycle actually came to our use in the final product. And just here's the 3D printed piece that we designed like last minute, to mount the motor onto the wood. And there's like a cutout for letting the wires just slip through, and then just like some screws in. And then here's that final product built in. We kind of messed up some measurements, so like the screws are like crooked, but it's fine, it holds. And then for the final product, out of time, I will take a look at this. First, let me show the video. Of course, we're not doing a visual presentation. Just for the safety of you guys, that you guys could come out seeing.
Whoa!
Oh.
It got cut out a little bit.
Very shortly after I tripped on the fog machine. This was last night.
But then the reason we like put it in a box is when you're driving at night, sometimes people can't see you, like if there are cars or walking by pedestrians. And then it could be used for that sort of purpose. And then also, if you want to go to a party, like we were beginning with, it serves like a little extra show. So basically what we learned, we used some useful technical skills like soldering, wiring, and using our Arduino, that way we could do all the code and everything. And then teamwork, that way we could like actually put this together and be coordinated and finish it on time. And then also time management, that way we could have a product right in front of you. So first I want to say thank you for all the staff who helped us put this together. And yeah, thank you everyone for all the support.
Thank you very much. You got the excellent. Well done, you guys. Oh, and have a look at the screws too. Right.
Okay, I'm gonna need everyone here to trust me for a couple of seconds. Can everyone just stand up, please? Okay, great. Now find someone in the room that is preferably not close to you and talk to them about your favorite Big Hero 6 character, or talk about your favorite character in any cartoon in general, please.
I really like Baymax. I think it's kind of cool. Because you can fly around on it. How about you? Oh, yeah. I think I can.
There's so many. They're all good.
Okay, everybody, return to your seats, please. Please don't leave early. I worked really hard on this. Diego and Jose, I wasn't sleeping during your presentation. I was trying to just rest a little bit. So you're not boring. It was very interesting. Yeah, so hello, everyone. I'm gonna kick it off. Actually, before that, I'm gonna ask who all has actually seen Big Hero 6? Okay, awesome. And you wanna ask them what their favorite characters are?
What are your favorite characters? Raise your hand. Alright.
Who else? Well, I want one more volunteer, please. Oh, Act 2? Okay, well. Yeah. Yes, yeah. And okay, that's so fair. But yes, anyways, Carol.
So basically our project is inspired by Hunter Empress from Big Hero 6, and basically we wanted to make a bag that could make and dispense a bomb filled with elephant toothpaste.
So let's say you encounter a bad guy out on the street. What exactly should you do? And since we're not in Texas, unfortunately you can't pull out a gun. So here's the next best thing. We're introducing a purse that shoots out chemical projectiles to explode your bad guy. And while your bad guy is facing this explosion, you can quickly go and pull off his mask to reveal. I mean, Corporate needs you to find the difference between these two pictures. But yeah, hello everyone, I'm Lilac.
I'm Carol.
I'm Sarah. Our two mentors were Gracie and Amrit. And over here, oh yeah, stand up guys. Y'all look so much. I didn't officially put it in the slides because Loki, I made these at we made these really late at night. But yeah, so yeah, and that's Kira. Kira is an honorary member of our team due to pulling off midnight sessions with me. And we kind of just, yeah, now Kira's making the solution. So shout out to Kira. So our plan was rather simple. There's only 2 steps involved. First, we make the chemical bombs, and then we make a bag that dispenses said chemical bombs. And so, given that there was only 2 steps, we quickly moved on to the first step, which was making said bombs. So this was our reference photo. The bag, the chemicals don't actually work in this way. She hits a bunch of buttons and it's they add the atoms. So it's not really chemically accurate in the movie, but this was our reference photo. And we decided that looked a lot like elephant toothpaste. That's kind of what we wanted. But you will see in this short clip that
That was a lot faster.
So our original recipe was 3% hydrogen peroxide with yeast and water. We decided that wasn't enough, so we asked to up the dosage of H2O2. So we tried to get 12% hydrogen peroxide, which we actually did get. We now have 2 gallons. Well, actually, we used some of it. We have another gallon because I was worried that we would run out. But thank you, Christian, for getting us that. And we actually added sugar to the elephant toothpaste to help it actually react. Because yeast feeds off of sugar. In actuality, we really would have liked to have potassium iodide and a higher concentration of hydrogen peroxide. Unfortunately, those are kind of dangerous. And it probably wouldn't be safe to do a demonstration live in front of you, and probably not safe to kind of just do in general. But yes, so yeah, and I guess I should speak about the reaction a little bit. The reaction is really a the yeast kind of catalyzes hydrogen peroxide to turn into water and oxygen, and that's what kind of creates the foamy texture of the hydrogen peroxide, the elephant toothpaste. And I guess yeast might be a little bit less effective in catalyzing that reaction because there are other things than the actual thing that catalyzes the reaction. Like straight potassium iodide is nice, but yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to make a bomb, but we wanted to make sure that the solution still mixed before we throw the bomb at someone. So we came up with 4 different solutions. Our first solution or idea was that we would hot glue gun, use a hot glue gun to hot glue tags into the bottom of a reusable balloon, and then have the solution be in an actual water balloon. And so upon impact, the tags would burst the balloon, and then the solutions would mix, and the toothpaste would be created. And our second idea was kind of the same thing, but with wooden spikes, so toothpicks instead, and we would use magnets to attach that to the reusable water balloon. Our third idea was to use an acrylic disc to separate the 2 mixtures. So on one side of the balloon, we would have a mixture of yeast and water, and on the other side, we would have hydrogen peroxide. And upon impact, the idea is that the disc would dislodge and then the solutions would mix. And our fourth idea was kind of the same thing as the acrylic disc, but with plastic wrap.
Would anyone like to guess which one actually worked? Yeah. The acrylic disc also actually works, so kind of a trick question, but for our purposes, for dispensing and like actually keeping it sealed, plastic wrap is a lot better.
Okay, so basically, we did our first trial run on our actual villain, in this case, Christian. And so basically, what happened was that we used a So in this case, we used the thumbtack method, and we had like a water balloon filled inside with like hydrogen peroxide, and around it was yeast. And so like the thumbtack wasn't really that sharp, and so it ended up just kind of leaving. Yeah, like we low-key lost the thumbtack and had to find it in the tub. And so that's why we thought of a better idea, in this case, the plastic wrap, to actually make sure it explodes on impact.
Okay, so this is the trial that actually works, and we use the acrylic disc in this one.
That was really good. Oh.
Okay, so now that we've made our bomb, the next thing on our list is to make a bag that actually can make the bomb. So in the Hero 6, Honey Lemon's bag can do 2 things. One is make the actual bomb, and 2, dispense the bomb. And due to time constraints, we couldn't make a bag that could produce the bombs themselves, so we opted for making a bag that could dispense pre-made bombs that contains alpha.
Our objective changed from make a bag that can make the elephant toothpaste to make a bag that can simply just dispense those bombs.
So in this whiteboard drawing, you can see like our original prototype for the bag. We did have a dispensing system within the bag before we realized that we didn't actually have enough time. But our dispensing system of the bag is basically the same. We still have a ramp built into our backpack over there, in which the balloon will slide down. And originally we had the idea of having an Arduino that opened and shut a gate for the balloon to roll down into, but we will explain to you why that idea didn't work in a second. Oh, but these are some of the videos of the Arduino moving around.
So there's a problem. We wanted the Arduino to dispense one water balloon or bomb at a time, but this one wasn't timed well, and it would just let multiple balloons out. So we had the solution.
We had our solution, and our solution was to give Amrit a Coca-Cola. Yes, and we actually still have the Coca-Cola bottle right here. It wasn't just Amrit, he like shared it with people, but it was mostly Amrit. Thank you. It was also Ed's idea as well. So they helped me kind of generate an idea of this system that would kind of have flaps. And once you pulled each flap, the ball would like dispense out of the pocket it was in. We had the idea of kind of having like fabrics, and yeah, that didn't really come to fruition. But oh yeah, it wasn't a tiny bit. It was this kind. Sorry, I feel I meant to cut that out. But yeah, so this is the system. And there are more videos, but I those. Oh, and here's a video of ranking spots and dispensers without.
Yeah. Red, yellow. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was on our to-do list. And now we only had one last step, and that was bedazzle! So that's the bag. Let me explain it a little bit, because yesterday I was grinding on trying to make this look nice. So what we have up front are these little, oh sorry, back I guess. On the front are the little balls that kind of mimic Honey Lemon's purse. That really made it recognizable, I guess. Bear recognized it. Yeah, so I also added some felt hearts all around it. Some keychains. They actually say like MIT engraved on them, so really cute. And then also this chain up front and some beads along the sides. So here's a spin. Yeah. And a couple of things that we learned. I'm going to start, and I'm just gonna pass it around, and everyone can kind of speak. I kind of put this video of the actual lab that they used in here just to say that it's like not that clean. It was very messy. Not the lab in general. It was just like our thing wasn't really like a real chemistry lab. It was fun though. And a couple of other things I learned was like with the Arduino, it was kind of really hard to understand at first, but connect things to ground is a very important message. And there are some other things that we did, like the whole like box system wasn't really working as we described before, and I kind of got a little frustrated, and now I feel a little bad because I was like, I worked so hard on this box, and we might have to just discard it for like a piece of plastic that was made with very little money. And I was like, yeah, I was kind of tripping out. I was very glad that I decided to switch it off. And yeah, that's kind of.
Okay, so I've never built anything before, so I learned a lot through Edgerton. I soldered for the first time, and then I kind of made a box with wood, which was really interesting. I learned how to use a drill.
And I don't know if this is a common experience, but my high school chemistry teachers weren't that great. So it was really nice, like being able to make an experiment on my own where I could see the reaction and catalyst, etc. And now, do we have any volunteers in the audience? All right, Matt. We're like, we need maybe 3.
Yeah, we need 3.
Okay, Matt, please put this poncho on. And go ahead and stand on the chart. Oh yeah, go ahead. Wait, anyone who like doesn't mind having their clothes a little splashed? Okay. I'll get you two next, but, oh, and of course, proper safety precautions. So after you put that poncho on, please put these glasses on.
It's a look, map.
Can we give it up for Mav really quick? Oh, in the meantime, how many of you have not watched Big Hero 6? Wow. Why? Hey, you'll be fine. Like, but if you don't want to ruin your shoes, I'd recommend crouching down when you throw. Just a thought.
Wait, no, that's even worse. No, that's not idea. Check out my sock.
Okay, so change of plans. We're just gonna throw them at you.
I'm gonna have the camera view.
Wait, do you give your consent to this? Okay, verbal consent. Do I throw? Anybody else want to record?
Second volunteer. Should I turn around? Yes, at the back.
Decided to up the.
Oh, lovely. I throw it there. Bro, I'm not gonna.
Hey, would you prefer red or yellow?
Yeah. You prefer the last color you see to be red.
Oh, that's foaming. That's foaming.
Christian, turn the camera down.
Oh. Oh. So I have to get pelted. I'm so sorry.
That's how you stop a criminal on the street.
Everybody at this point, everybody has presented. Thank you so much for joining us. We're not over by an incredible amount. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Tell them there's food, Kristen.
The food outside, that bananas outside that door.
Oh.